Good day, greetings, salutations on this Wednesday, November the 12th, 2025. We are like a month and a half away from 2026. It's kind of hard to believe, isn't it? But that is the reality of it. I think we're under 40 days now until the official beginning of winter in the Northern Hemisphere. 39 days until winter starts. So it's definitely feeling it right now. We've got, it actually snowed for a bit yesterday morning in New York City. I didn't notice it. I was inside all day long. And in the home office here across in New Jersey on the other side of the Midtown. So I'm looking right at Midtown, but I didn't notice any snow. We certainly didn't get any on this side of the river. But apparently it did. But it's like 41 degrees right now, which is pretty chilly. It's going to be a high of 48 degrees Fahrenheit. And what is that? Celsius, it's 5 degrees, a high of 9 degrees today. So that's where we're at. It's going to be cloudy all day, and another great, hunker down and work day. So what do we got on the almanac? I was noticing here, there's not a lot here, but San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge opened on this day in 1936, which I found kind of interesting. So if you've ever been to San Francisco, that Bay Bridge is everyone knows the Golden Gate Bridge, but actually the Bay Bridge is, I don't know, to me, equally iconic, especially if you've spent time in San Francisco. And I'll never forget when the big earthquake happened. What year was that? In the 80s, I think? Was it 88? I don't recall. But anyway, the collapse of that bridge, because it had two stories and one story collapsed onto the other. And yeah, that was a wild time. I remember I was supposed to be traveling that, and I stayed home. I'm trying to remember, 1989, that's what it was. The 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. Yep, November. Well, they reopened it in November, but it was earlier in the year when that happened. So yeah, I'll never forget that. In fact, that rattled us up in Oregon. I was in Oregon at the time, and I remember it shaking up there, but it really hit San Francisco hard. So other than that, we got a cool fall day. It's middle of the week. I'm exhausted. Spent all day yesterday recording and in calls, and just by the evening, I was wiped out, completely wiped out. But I suppose that's not necessarily a bad thing. And that's what got me to thinking about, what's still on my mind, from yesterday, and did a recording for the Building Business Relationships show, and asked one of the guests, afterward, okay, what could I do, to make it even better and more entertaining, but also better for you. And he pointed out that one of my stated objectives, was to give the guest a spotlight, to really make people want to connect with the guest. And, our conversation, he told kind of a long story in our conversation, and I had felt pressure for time. And so I kind of, closed down the when it was over, we wrapped it up, because these are short conversations, they're pre-launch conversations. But he said, yeah, you didn't, if spotlighting me was one of the goals, you didn't talk about how people can connect with me. And he was absolutely right. And so I realized, so I'm going to make sure that, the video that gets put up includes a reference, for a very direct and easy reference for how to connect with the guest. And I instantly, I felt bad. I thought, oh, wow, I'm self-centered and this and that and the other. Well, no, it's like, this is what a feedback loop looks like. You need to ask the question and mean it, and then listen to what people tell you. It doesn't mean every guest felt that way, but it's a data point that I can use now and build into the process. And I realized a gap in my thinking on this. And so I'm going to amend that immediately and make sure everybody feels like, they're, who comes on is getting the kind of exposure that they want, or reference to, how to get in touch with them if someone wants to get in touch with them. Of course, that makes perfect sense. And it's just, there's a lot of things going on to produce all the things that we produce. And so little things like that aren't little, sometimes happen. And so I'm very grateful for the feedback. And I'm grateful that I asked. So, I do see it as a gift. And I'll be using that to propel us forward. It's time to do some new content too. And I've been thinking a lot about, it's time now to up the game and, do some different styles of content to add different segments, because when we launch the full show next year, it needs to be entertaining more than anything. And so these pre-launch one-on-one conversations are great, and they're great for getting ideas out there. And now it's time to hit the streets and do some man on the street interviews and try our hand at some comedy and some other things like that. So exciting to see where that goes. And then of course, working on my enterprise, the corollary enterprise with the show, which is called Amped. And that's all about helping founders and visionary CEOs tell their stories on camera. And whether it's, memorializing the origin story so they can kind of share it internally and share it with new employees and potential customers if they're interested, really explaining their why and why the business is really important to them and who they're really, what their values are and their mission and their vision and all of that, sharing that from a human side, whether it's that or, telling the story of their team and their team culture and the new product or service that they're launching and how it's in alignment with how they serve and their purpose. Video is so important now. And, I'm so excited to be, moving forward with this. And I think one of the funny things was, as I was building out a one-page website for this, and I was looking at the assets that I had, the media that I had from years past, I went, oh, wait, I've done this. Of course I want to do this because I've done it before. For a client who wanted this done, and we were doing a different project. And so the client wanted to tell their story on camera, and I produced that, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. And I thought, man, I want this to be my primary business. So, things come up for a reason. And a lot of times it's because I have a direct connection to that thing, and maybe I even forgot about it. And I think, oh, this is a new idea. It's not really a new idea. It's just all the experience going into the jambalaya of decision making. And you're like, okay, what spice do I want to add to this? What's exciting to me right now? What's missing from my formula? And then you look back on an ingredient that you played around with years ago and go, oh yeah, that's the perfect one. So it's kind of where I'm at today. And, it's still challenging every single day. You don't know what's going to happen. Is today going to be a breakthrough or not? You just put your head down and try and make good connections and help somebody and see where you land. So I hope that's inspiring to somebody out there. Thanks as always for listening. We'll wrap it up for today, and we'll check in again tomorrow. In the meantime, as always, be good to yourself and others. Bye-bye for now.